This one again hasn't really moved too much this week. Generally speaking, it's been pretty much consolidation. This is the price action we had this week. This is the gap we had at the start of the week, and you can see prices pretty much just stayed within that area. So again, the plan for the dollar has been the same since the start of the year, which is of course the massive breakout on the weekly chart, taking out highs here. So essentially, as long as price stays above this high, I retain that bullish bias, looking for a possible move for a move back to 113. And that's still very much the case. At the moment we do crack underneath this level, I will look to reinvestigate and probably change that bias and probably talk about some sells. At the moment, we're still holding. This week, we talked about this area here on the 4-hour chart as an area where price might bounce from, and we have seen a bit of a reaction. And looks like price, of course, we had that gap. It hasn't really gone anywhere since then, but potentially might be trying to break to the upside. Not quite sold yet because, again, we haven't really seen the breakout. Still leaving behind a bit of a wick there. We could very much sell off in the afternoon. So overall, it's been a bit of a choppy week. Still waiting for price to really show momentum in that direction, to really show, okay, the buyers are stepping in and we're possibly looking for the next higher low, because the plan for the dollar is still high, higher low, higher high, and possibly another higher low forming here for a continuation, at least back to where we came from, which is back at the high there at 110. So didn't mean to do that. Back at the high there at 110. So yeah, very, very bullish on USD as we're above that weekly level. Price action not looking particularly great in terms of entries. Well, I'm not necessarily looking to trade the DXY, but I'll get to EURUSD and pound and the other USD pairs in a moment. But I was looking to see if we can come back down a little bit deeper, possibly test that area for a double bottom and then a continuation. But unfortunately, looks like we're kind of just stuck in this range and maybe we break to the upside. But I am still looking for upside, and that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, because if we do break to the upside, there could be some nice pullbacks early next week to ride that momentum higher. So you might not necessarily see that retest, but there may be opportunities higher up for the dollar to get involved if we do see a continuation with that bullish momentum. And EURUSD pretty much looking at the exact opposite. So again, I was looking for euro to come back into the high here for another retest. Again, possibly a lower high or an equal high. And then again, looking for the shorts, again, possibly back to that low, or at least that's where I'll be targeting. Again, we had that lovely swing high back over here just after we created that lower low. So lower low, lower high, and again, a new lower low. So the plan is, can we put another lower high in this bearish sequence and continue back to the lows? It looks like that could be the case, especially if dollar's going to continue flying. Then EURUSD's got a pretty good chance of falling as well. So again, we might not necessarily see that push there for euro. I'm not going to rule that out completely, but at this moment in time, things are still looking pretty bearish. So we might again break the downside, see some kind of more intraday pullbacks during next week, and there could be some really nice opportunities on some pullbacks, retest, and looking to ride that momentum back into the lows there. So everything for euro is still very bearish. Like, scan to the higher time frames, looking at the daily, weekly chart, still below major areas of support, of course, acting as resistance. So as long as that stays true and we don't start breaking above that, that will keep me bearish for euro. And again, we still could be talking about a swing all the way back to the lows there as well. So pretty bearish for euro USD. I think the next best opportunity for this one, if we don't see the push back to the high for a retest, then it probably is just going to be some more intraday setups on some pullbacks to ride that back into the lows there. Pound USD, kind of the same situation as well. I mean, in terms of the bias, the same situation really. Again, you've got the prior swing low down here. You've got the lower high over there, lower low. So again, looking for the continuation of this move. So treating that as the pullback for another move back down. And pound USD did come back into a really nice level at 1.25. And I was looking to see again if pound USD can come up, retest the area and get the sell. And that still very much could be the case, because pound USD is a little bit flat right now, trapped between support and resistance. So something like that could very much happen. Probably not today, as in all that happened today. That probably might take 2 or 3 days to happen. So probably sometime next week, but that's still an opportunity I'm definitely considering there for pound USD. And again, if everything does go pretty well, could see pound USD end up right back at these lows. Again, if I scoot to the higher time frames, the daily chart in particular, you can see we have broken through that ascending channel, which has kept the market bullish for some time. And since we've broken through that, we've been pretty consistent with these lower highs, 1, 2, 3, looking for number 4, and then a big swing to the lows there. So that's very much the plan with pound USD. And as long as we don't go break structure, that's exactly where I expect price to end up. And again, if we don't see that push back to 1.25, again, something like this will look pretty good for next week. Impulse down, some type of lower time frame correction, and then you see the market continue. So that's probably what you're going to be eyeing up next week, maybe on the retest of that same range. But of course, we'll get into the details next week as we continue. But for now, that's kind of what we're considering there for pound USD. Now for dollar CAD, again, of course, it's another USD pair. The main focus with dollar CAD, of course, it might be CAD over the past 24 hours, but for me, USD is still the main driver. So if I do have a bullish bias in USD, I'm still looking to take advantage of buys in dollar CAD, kind of regardless of what CAD is doing. Of course, if there's a good setup, I'll take it. If it's not quite there, I won't take it. But it looks like price has tried to break to the upside and didn't do such a good job, especially for the wicks there. Was sort of trading above it, but not in a convincing manner. So I'm not going to get too excited about the price action. If price does want to break to the upside, I want to see kind of this wick there on that candle fill. And then that will give me the confidence to start looking for some pullbacks and continuations. Again, for dollar CAD, I've been talking about the 1.46 level, which is a massive level of weekly resistance. You can see really 2 big rejections of this area, and I'm looking to see if we can get a third, and we're not too far away. So in a couple of weeks, we could be very much trading at that same level. So the way I see dollar CAD right now is I'm expecting a lot more upsides, and if you can get price to go fill that wick, looking for some pullbacks and then some more upside. Likewise, if we do break to the downside, there's opportunities to take this lower. We still do have that massive weekly resistance, which will be turned support down here, which we could see price go and get a retest of as well. So, if we do suddenly turn around, which is a good possibility, we've done that a few times. You can see massive wick, price turned around straight away. Could see that happen again. If you do end up breaking to the downside, then that's something I'm after, and a push back to 1.395. But we'll see if we can fill that wick there, and possibly could be looking at a bullish dollar CAD there. In terms of Aussie dollar, again, very bearish on this one, slowly rolling to the downside here in a very corrective manner there. I would be looking at another push back to the high there for at least for me to look for any entries, because I'm not going to be looking for any entries down there. I'm still looking to see if we can get a retest of the daily level here on the left, but as price continues bearish, it looks less and less likely that we will see that bigger move into that level. And as I drop to the 4-hour chart, this level does look pretty good for sure if price does see a move up there. But again, the longer we kind of continue in this kind of corrective manner, the less likely we are to see that retracement, and probably just going to go and take out those lows there. But in terms of the direction, very bearish for Aussie dollar. Again, with the bullish bias on USD, that kind of by default makes me bearish on a lot of these USD majors: pound, euro, Aussie, New Zealand dollar. Of course, dollar CAD and dollar CHF would be bullish, but for Aussie dollar, naturally expecting more downside. So kind of keeping an eye on this area here. Again, nowhere near that. So if it is going to be an opportunity, it's probably one for next week. And still looking for opportunities up at that level as well, should we see the move. But in terms of the direction, expecting these lows to be taken out pretty soon. In terms of NZD USD, kind of the same situation as Aussie dollar. I still like the high here. If price was to come back up, respect that area. I do think that's a nice place for a short. And again, see if we can swing it back to the low. I still expect levels on the weekly chart to be taken out for New Zealand dollar. I do think we're due to take out this low here, and that's from COVID, and this low here from 2022 as well. I do think we're probably going to take out those levels pretty soon. So it's just about how far do we pull back before we go and take out those lows. That's the kind of the big question I have for New Zealand dollar. At the moment, I do like these 2 daily levels again, but we haven't really seen much of a sign of us getting close to those areas. So My focus is a little bit more on this area. I think that's a bit more reasonable for price to get to. If we do see price have a bigger move, then of course these areas I will be looking to trade from as well. Once we get closer, I'll start to speak a little bit more about them. But for now, let's see if we can potentially get a retest of the high there, 0.572. And if everything goes well, we can swing it back to the low and maybe to go and take out those lows for 2022 and 2020. Or was that 2019? COVID lows, yeah, 2020, because it was March. So yeah, that's kind of the plan there for New Zealand dollar. In terms of gold and silver, so gold, I'm pretty sure created new all-time highs yesterday. As you can see, very, very bullish market, and our prior all-time highs were here on the left. And yes, we did. We created new all-time highs to be spiking to 2,800 just about. And we were talking a lot about that price yesterday, because once we do take out the all-time highs, we got that big psychological level just ahead of us at 2,800. So likely going to see price react from that. Again, I'm not necessarily saying that I expect price to now sell off, but we might pause a little bit and then potentially might even see some new highs as well. But gold, in terms of the trend, in terms of the analysis, is just very, very bullish market. You look at the monthly chart, extremely bullish. You look at the intraday time frames, extremely bullish pretty much. So this is a market which, you kind of want to focus on the buys in general. Yes, there will be some short-term selling opportunities, but not going to last too long, especially in these conditions. So again, the plan for gold is just waiting for kind of another pullback for this one. There's a lot of momentum in the market, so we might see a bit of a correction like this, and then we might just see a continuation off the back of that. So like a kind of bull flag opportunity. I mean, it would be nice for price to come back and retest some levels down there. But again, that's probably an opportunity more for next week anyway. I think the buys of the 27.20 level still looks good. Should price get back there again? So that's still something I would look at. But we'll see if we can get there. The market is naturally bullish, so I just expect more highs. To be honest, still a lot of momentum in the market. In terms of silver, same situation with this one, starting to pick up the pace a little bit. And that's what I've been saying with gold and silver. Silver's been lagging behind gold so much that I do expect it to kind of pick up the pace and do some catching up. And we had a really bullish day yesterday, breaking through the highs there very well. And it looks like we're getting kind of what we were talking about yesterday. I said things still look very corrective in here, but if you do get some newfound bullish momentum, we break the highs aggressively, that will start to attract me into some trades. And if we can get a nice correction, possibly a retest of this area, that's something I would look at for some entries. I'd watch out for the high here. But I do expect us to eventually get back to the high there, just like what gold's doing, breaking through the all-time highs. I expect silver to do that eventually, although we're very far away from that. All-time highs are still... Where are we? Let me go to the daily chart. There we go. All-time highs are still all over there around 50. So silver's got a lot of catching up to do if it wants to do what gold's doing. But I do expect it to do so. It's just going to take some time. So yeah, just looking for the buys right now. Price has been pretty consistent with the higher lows. Nice double bottom down there. And then we're printing higher lows. So the plan is let's find the next one. At least trade it back to the highs here around 32. But the bigger move is I'm looking for a continuation there. So really just looking for pullbacks, more upside along the way.